Here's a list of things that you'll need if you want to paint along. Going into some floating medium, a lot of white paint and a tiny bit of blue, and make a color about like that. I'm not going to mix it totally, I'm going to leave it streaky. I'm just going to put some blue areas. I'm using quite a bit of floating medium to make it move. I'm just going to put some patches of blue because I want the main color of the sky to be a burnt orange and yellow. Okay, so this is thoroughly dry, and I cleaned and dried my brush. I have a 1-inch bristly brush here. And I'm going to start into it again by putting some yellow in these spots. Don't want to overlap the blue a lot because it'll turn it green. I'm just going to stay in these white spots. Have to blend a little, overlap a little bit. Some of these yellow spots are going to be turned into orange spots after. The yellow on its own is very transparent, so if you mix white with it, it seems to have a better coverage. So now I'm going to mix some crimson into my yellow. And I'm going to go over spots here and there. And some white. I'm just trying to make some nice streaks of different colors through here. I could continue with that brush, but this is a 1-inch round ended bristle brush. Nice color. Twirl in some clouds. Spots where I've got that ground already orange, but So for the bottom, I'm going to use a sea sponge. I have Hooker's Green, or dark green here. And then I have another palette with a sap green, phthalo green, and I'm going to load up my sea sponge. This is the way I do it, with a dabbing. And I'm going to put lots of green. This is going to be distant. And leave it very white over here. This is going to be the fall. My sap green. You don't want too big of gobs here, because we're putting our tree trunks, and we'll put some more of this in afterwards. We're just getting a nice layer of it down. It's nice and hard to get it filled in. I'm going to start here and there, just touch mostly. Look and see where the white spots are. So now what I've done is I've put a couple of the two different colors on, and that creates a nice effect as well. More sharp pattern in the front where it's closer. as it goes back. Mute it by tapping it. Sketching where my path is going to be. Say hi to the camera. Say hi, camera. Say hello to the camera. The tops. This time, I'm going to go spring, summer, winter. Not spring, summer, fall, and winter. Switch to this brush. It's a flat 1 inch or maybe ½ inch. Wet it and dry it. Okay, so I think I'll start with the middle ones. Using the sharp edge, brush straight out from the canvas. Do little wiggles. Come back. I've got brown and black on my brush, just randomly a bit of each. I'm going to highlight after, so I just want a couple tones right now. this one we'll have in the front. So I'm going to work on some back ones first. We have lots of these. So it's going to be spring, summer, fall, and winter. So this will be quite full. These are for the effect of seeing through the leaves. When I want it sharp, I go up on the heel of my brush. A few little light ones back here look nice too. So you want some of these to look like they're in the front, some to look like they're behind. Going every which way. Light and dark, little and big ones. I'll probably use a liner brush when I do the finer tipped ones. So I'm going to use a couple of liner brushes, a round number 4 and a liner brush. I'm going to use some water to thin my paint. You want to load your brush really well, turn it in the paint. So right here I've added a little phthalo blue in with some white, and I'm just going to lay down my shadow color for my winter scene. So I have a few different filbert brushes here. I think I have a 1/4 inch and a couple 1/2 inch. And I have some phthalo blue and white. And I'm going to run my brush with phthalo blue, put a little bit of white on one side, and make some evergreens. So I'll start off with my brush this way, and then I'll turn it with the white up and just dab it all the way down. Okay, so we're going to start off with the spring tree. And on the spring tree, I'm going to have some small buds on the tips and a little bit thicker, but it's just new growth. And some details of springtime at the bottom. And then I'll move to the summer tree and I'll thicken up the leaves and so on, and fall. So I'm going to start off with a small flat brush, dark green and light green, yellow and white. So I'll load my brush with dark green and then go up and just add a few little buds just by touching and pushing like that. So I'm going to put a few dark ones, a few little lighter ones, so just a couple dark ones first. And this takes time, so I'll speed this up and maybe bring it in closer so you can see what I'm doing as well. So again, I'll load my brush by loading it with both sides. I like to keep it sharp. And come up here. Keep your brush straight out from your canvas. Touch. And get an angle where you can see what I'm doing. I'll lean, but it would be straight out. Touch and push. Okay, so those are for my little ends and little buds. Some of them you may want to just put a little dot. Ones that are opening. So this one will be behind, so I'm just going to put some of these back in here. It won't matter when the other one's on. Okay. So now I want a little bit of white to balance out the painting. So I'm going to load up my brush with some white. And I'm just going to add a few little white, maybe blossoms here and there. I'm not going to worry too much about the shape, just a few little leaf strokes. Okay, so I'm just going to go into some light green now. A bit of yellow, and I'm going to put some highlight leaves on. I just mixed a little bit of light green, brush it through the yellow a little. I'm going to go over some of these and leave some of them. So let's just add another color. And this is something as well, you have to kind of take your time and keep loading your brush with the green and some yellow. Keep it nice and flat and pick where you'd like to maybe make it spots that you don't like the way it looks, but the idea is to keep those two tones. So keep some of your dark spots. Go on top of your branches in some places. Well, another way to make it look kind of nice is to curl your brush a bit. Some leaves are curled, and it's the same stroke, but just give it a little twist when you're putting it down. In order to give the dimension, you have to put some in front of the others, so in some cases you want to go right in front of the branch and the leaves. I'll give you an example. Here, you want to go right over that, right in front over again. And that'll give a little dimension. Some of them can be a little bit more yellow. Especially on the sun's sort of setting over there, or the sun's over there somewhere, so the light's kind of hitting some of these. You can add a little extra yellow. So I'm just going back and forth with the light green and the yellow, putting it in selective places where I think it'll add color variation, dimension. Just a minute, sweetie. Just a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to put a few little buds on the little twiggies down here. Since it's got quite a background there, I'm just going to go light. So mainly a little bit of green on there, but mostly yellow. White to it, lighten it up so it shows. So now I'm just going to take a bristly brush and I'm going to touch up the path a little bit. This one's going to be in the fall, so we'll have a lot of leaves on this side. So I'm just going to go into the, dab it into the dark. Dab it into the dark paint. Down on the table, you do it fairly hard to get that paint in there. And I'm just going to do some little bushes around things. A little bit of shadow. Go up there a little bit to set that tree, to set this tree back a little I'm going to go up a little bit on the trunk. Shorten it up and it'll set it back, and this one I can bring forward a bit. And now I can go into a little bit of light green and yellow. And I don't need to clean my brush, just dab the light green and yellow on there, and I'm just going to highlight a little bit around the bottom of the trees. Okay, I want this to be a bit shadowed back here, so I'm just going to highlight out here. And we're just creating some grass and things. And I want a nice edge on my path so I can fix that up later. I'm just putting kind of some gobs of yellow, and then just adds little things back there. Like newly growing things. Now I want to put a few blossoms that fell, and maybe a few newly grown things. I'll take a little bit bigger flat brush with the light green. I'm going to load it really well. Add a little bit of yellow on one side. I'm just going to make a few little things that newly grown tulip type things. Not too many because it's just spring. Just things growing up. And here on the walkway. So again, lots of the medium green, and then run it through some yellow, make it kind of sharp. And a few more of these little. Okay, so now I'm going to do my white blossoms with my small brush again. Could add a little blue in your white if you wanted to, but I may later. Okay, so I just want to have a few that fell. Oh, not too dark. Okay. I think that's enough, maybe. Blades of grass growing up will show up good. You just do that by just touching it thinly. Don't push hard like you did there. Touch it very lightly, I mean, not thinly, lightly. Little grass is growing out. Okay, so I had the zoom on, so what I did was I added some just like I did here. I just added a few down here as well, so that it runs along. I'll come in and put some different things on the path after. Okay, so I'm going to do some evergreens in the background. I'm going to use the acrylic filbert brushes, a small one and a little bit bigger. They're flat with rounded edges. And for this I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the green to make it really dark and give it a blue color. Mix that together. It doesn't have to be perfectly mixed, but make a nice color. And then keep your brush nice and sharp, flat. And I'm down low so you can see. I might have to pop up once in a while and see where things are going here. So let's start off with one back here. Now let's put it right here. We'll put it quite off in the distance and small. So I'm just going to take my filbert and I'm going to keep it this way first, and I'm going to touch the top. And I'm going to turn it this way, lean it down. Like when we were doing this, we were going straight out. This time I want you to lean it down, your brush towards downward, and then just touch very lightly for the top branches, just sort of a dab down. And practice. You can practice on something else before you start if you want. And just build your tree slowly. Some branches come in front, some go to the side. It gets bigger as you go down. Depending how big and how far down will be how far away. And I want it kind of proportionally. Once I get it there, I want a little bit of a shadow behind it, so I'm just going to dab a little dark behind. And I'm going to highlight that too. Let's make a few little tiny ones back here too. And it's just touch real lightly, do the same thing. Probably won't even highlight these ones, they're so small. Here. This time, I'm going to turn my brush point my brush upward. I'm going to make a different style of evergreen. Load your brush up the same. And this time I'm going to touch up. Push up. Same thing, but this time we're going to go upwards with our branches. Practice that on something else first too. It's kind of a neat. Now if you want to try a real easy method of getting the highlight and everything on at once, you could load your brush up, wipe one side of your brush through some yellow or light green, and we'll just redo this one so you can see some highlight, and you just do it all at the same time. Same thing, push up, but see how I'm getting my highlight all at the same time. I don't want too much highlight because of all the color behind them, so I decided I would just put the highlight on after. So now I'm just going to go through a little bit of yellow, and I'm just going to touch this just in a few spots on the side where the light would hit. Not too much because it'll blend in too much with the color I have going there. So I'm going to get the bigger brush, and I'm going to put one here. Get the blue and the dark green. Load my brush up good. Keep it sharp. I want to bring it down to about here, so let's go up here. This will be the closest one. Okay, So I'm going to add my highlight on one side of my brush, like that. I'm going to put my highlight towards where the light's coming from. Keep my filbert this way, touch up just for some branches, for some top branches. Then turn my brush that way with the highlight on the top. Point down for this one. We're going to make touch lightly for the top ones. And they go back and forth. Some go right straight over the... And as it gets lower, you're going to want it to become darker so that you have a contrast. So don't add any more of the light, but you can add some more dark on that side. And maybe a little highlight there. Oops. On this side. The highlight kind of cancels it out, so keep it dark. Okay, and a little bit. Just dab some shadow in behind. Didn't quite like the way it looks on the top, so I'm going to go a little higher. And I'm going to do a down. Okay, so I've got the blue and the green, and I got the highlight on this side. Some more highlights, so coming through very good. There we go. Okay, just two here. Move back to the small filbert. Through the highlight, the yellow, and this time I'm going to make a small one that goes up, I guess. Back here, we'll do two. Bouncing up with the brush. There, kind of looks neat. One way off in the distance here, similar to that one. There, that's cool. Okay, so for the summer trees, I'm going to use a bigger filbert brush, flat with a rounded end. And I've got a couple different ones. Doesn't really matter, it's more about the shape of the brush. And I'm going to use a nice rich phthalo green and some hooker green and some yellow for this tree. The leaves are going to be bigger and fuller. So I'm going to wet my brush and dry it with a paper towel. And I'm going to mix. I'm going to mix the greens both on my brush and load my brush nice and flat, well loaded. There we go. Okay, so this time we're going to lean the brush down and we're going to dab like this, but we're going to turn our brush on a little bit of an angle to make it look like the leaves are hanging. So I'm going to start up here. See how it sort of looks like a leaf? But I want a whole bunch of them. And then to hang the other way, you just turn it the other way. You can have some straight up and down. I'm going to highlight these areas and keep your brush well loaded. So see how the phthalo green and the hooker green together makes a nice rich green for the underleaves. So turn it back and forth this way and that. So you want a little bit less on the tips. Now this tree is going to be behind this one. So we'll go a little lighter here. We're going to have a lot of fall leaves here. Oh, we'll just put some. So those won't show a lot once we have our fall leaves on, but they will be there for where they do show through. Okay, so this, I'll be working at this for a little while. I like to leave some areas where you can see the sky through. And we are going to also highlight these after. So we'll just speed this up. For your open areas of your leaves. Angling my brush down to get the dabbing effect, turning it this way and that way. And that gives the illusion that the leaves are hanging and full. I like that area to show through. Really like this. So stop and think of those things while you're doing them. Don't like this area so much, so we'll thicken it up there. Here, so to have some things behind. If your brush gets scuffed up, just wipe it off on your plate. brush and get ready for the highlight color. Okay, so I'm going to mix my greens and some yellow now to make some lighter green. And then I'm going to dip it in the yellow for a few different colors. Over this way, and I'm just going to highlight these. Okay, so I'm not going to cover all, and I'm going to do the same thing, turning this way and that. And then we'll add a little yellow afterwards. So I'm just going with the green mixed with some yellow, and then a little dip in the yellow for a little extra touch. Okay, so I cleaned my brush. So I'm going to add just a little bit of green this time, and lots of yellow on my brush. I'm going to add my final highlight color. Okay, so it's the same thing again. Keep your brush nice and sharp. Turn it from side to side. Tilt it down a little. And I'm going to start off by highlighting the higher up. This time I'm going to use a little bit smaller leaf. A little neater to finish it. Oops, that's okay. These will darken up as they dry as well. And if I decide that's too light, I can come back with a little green after. Final touches. This will add some dimension as well, and thicken up some of those spots because most of it you won't be able to see through. I'm trying to preserve some of the sky behind for the painting's sake, but realistically you wouldn't be able to see a lot through this tree. You can see how as I add the highlights, the tree gets fuller. I have pretty much straight yellow. Gently touch little areas. So now I'm going to do some detail along the background. Summer, I'm going to flatten this out a little bit, make it look more like new grass. Spring. Summer, I'm just going to start to make some places for some flowers and different things I'm going to want to add. I'm also going to work a little bit on the trunks, adding some highlight where the light would be hitting, just to make the trunks look a little bit better. Maybe a little roughness on this one. I'm going to work on the path a little bit. I will talk as I go along, but I'm not sure how much you'll be able to hear down there, so I'd like to explain a little bit now. This area will be covered with some fall leaves, so I'll just finish off that area and join it into the winter a little nicer. And I think I'm going to add another evergreen tree right about here, and I can transition it with a little snow on the one side. So anyway, that's what I'll be doing. I'm also going to add a few little trunks back here with a liner brush. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully I won't be in the way too much. Black, brown, and white on my palette. We'll start off and put some trunks back here. And I'm going to use this liner brush. When you're using a liner brush, you do use water. So I'm adding a little water to my palette, and I'm going to take a little black and a little brown, just make a nice dark color. Good way to load your liner brush is to roll it in your wet paint. Okay, so I've got a small flat brush. I'm going to add some brown, black, and white. Make a really light beige. And I'm just going to go over some of these spots where the light would be hitting. Find them a little better. this is the idea of what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can stay in this position. And then have a nice solid highlight line. And then bring your highlight around a little bit. You just want to kind of smudge the paint on so that it's some spots where it's hitting rough. You could use any brush you're comfortable with. I like the sharp edges of the flat brushes for lines like this because you can steer where you want to go. Make sure I don't put my arm in the wet paint. So you can just highlight some of these. You don't have to highlight all of them. Some of them are in shadow. I've got a lot of paint on here. I'm kind of a little bit so I can control it, and then I can add more. Here, I'm going to add a little bit, but the light's not touching it, so I want to mute it down. But just to show some definition on the tree. A little bit around this there. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little bit lighter on there. Not pure white, but a little lighter. I'm going to touch that area again. Go right down this time. Wipe my brush off really quickly so there's hardly anything on there, and I'm going to try to mute that line out. And I'm going to add a little more highlight on this one as well. This is summer, I want this one nice and smooth. New bark. Muting between that really light line there. Okay, so I'm going to do this here and here, here, but I'm going to have to probably get in the way a little bit. I'll try not to. Okay. So if you see it just appear, then you'll know that I had my head in the way. I'm going to put a tree right here to bring the two seasons together. So I've got some hooker's green, and I'm going to start it off and then put some snow on it for the transition. And I'm using a flat filbert acrylic brush with a medium stiffness. So I've wet my brush and dried it with a paper towel, and I'm going to load it up nice and flat. Lots of paint, but nice and flat like that. And I'm going to bring a tree that's fairly close. Oh, it'll start about here. Down to about there. Now I'm going to go light on, or going to put the green on both sides and then add some snow. So I'm going to take my brush and just tilt it slightly. Do little small touches at the top. Push a little harder as I come down. I'm going to reload my brush when necessary. Same way I did the first time. Loading my brush. Filling some areas a little thicker maybe. I'll let that dry a little so that I don't mix my white into the green too much. And I'm going to clean my brush and dry it really well. And I'm going to put lots of white on it. And on one side, I'm going to add some phthalo blue so that I have my brush like this. So phthalo loaded well with white. Ran through a bit of phthalo blue. Nice and sharp. And I'm going to have the phthalo blue down. And I'm going to add a little bit on this side and more as we go towards the winter. So I'll turn my brush, shadow the blue this way for the top, where the shadow would be. At a weird angle, so you just touch. Leave some of that green showing through, especially on this side. Touch those branches. The same way you made them in the first place. Just go on top. And just a little bit on this side. We're transitioning. Lots on this side. A little bit of shadow under the tree. And I'm just going to softly bring the seasons together here. I'm just brushing, kind of dry brushing almost a little bit of my color back. And when I put the leaves that have fallen, I'll bring this together as well. Just a little swoop now, a little highlight on that snow. And then just do your little touches where it needs a little layer. You can put a little pile of snow like that just by adding some white. Nice snowdrift back here. Got a little more snow on this side. Way into the winter. Have a small filbert, same medium bristle, and I'm going to load it with some white, and I'm going to get in the way here for a minute and touch on this tree. Just didn't look like it had enough snow. Don't want to do too much with those because they'll fade into the background. highlight where it's shadowed. More where the sun's shining. Okay, so for the foreground, I'm going to do a little more detail. Make a few more plants that are coming out in the summer. And I've also added a bit of phthalo green, which is a bluish green, and some ochre to my palette. Not covering everything, I just want to bring some of the edge up. Light color. And this is the spring, so there's not too much happening yet. And as it gets to summer, there'll be more bigger plants we'll add in. And I won't do that as I come along. I just want some highlights on the path for now. I got some sap green, and some yellow ochre on here for something different. And you got to transition it, so I'm going to put a little bit here. I'm just using the corner of this brush, put a little highlight on it. This is where I just experiment with my brush and see what I like. Put a bit more bush here. Looks like it's kind of buttoned out a bit there. Don't cover up all your dark, because do have it to show your light, that little bush. Sort of matches this one, but it's further away so the little flowers don't show as much. I'm just going to do something different with this to make a different thing. I'm going to push up on the side of the tree. Put one here that's a little bit bigger, like it's grown more. And one here that's really big, like it's same kind of bush but bigger. Oops. Yeah, that's nice. And we'll put a few vines to only not as many because it is spring. With the liner brush, I'm going to go through the ochre, take some yellow to lighten it up. Go through a bit of green on one side. I'm going to make a grassy plant. And the highlight's already on it because I put green on one side and the light color on the other. I have to do that again here. I'm going to put this on that side and go through the green. You get, it takes a little practice. And then your light color goes towards where your light's coming from. This plant can be pretty big. Getting into. So I'm just gonna do it like. And maybe make it kind of red there, maybe instead. Okay, so I have a green and then light yellow on the other side. Open that up like that, and then dab some leaves on it. I'm not in this picture. And I want this one to be in front, so I don't want it to come in front there, so we'll end it there. Oops. Ochre and some yellow. Make a nice highlight. I'm going to dab my fern leaves on just by pushing down. Going to be just one starting. Darker this side. It's dealing with summertime. You have to keep working on your brush to keep the light on one side and the dark on the other. And then pretty much by the time they get over here, they're going to be pretty dried out in the fall. So we're going to go heavy on the ochre. Okay, so now I'm going to put some stones or rocks along the path. And my favorite brushes for making stones and rocks are filberts. Here's a softer bristle one for acrylic and a hard bristle one. I have black and white. So I'm going to get some black on one side and some lighter colored on the other. The lighter colored less, more black. And over here, looks like a good spot for some. And the white will go up because it'll be where the light's touching. You can just make whatever shape you want. The little ones, you just do a little dab. And if you find they're too light, just take some of that white off. And just to show you the other brush, a little bit the same. And you just do it the same, and it makes a little bit sharper stones, so it's really good for the little ones. Depends what look you're going for. So keeping with this brush, wipe it off, and I'm gonna add a little bit of ochre and brown. It's got some highlights on it already, so I don't need a whole bunch. So I think I'm finished with my stones, my path. I'm going to put my swing and my flower. Okay, so I'm going to do a swing here, and for the rope I made some beige out of some white, brown, a little bit of ochre. And I'll see how it looks. I've got a little pointy detail brush. Just going to maybe sketch in the seat, where the seat will go. This will be wooden, of course, but I'll start off with the light beige. I'm going to add a little water, like that, to the seat. I can fix the seat after if it's alright. Now you could use a ruler for this if you wanted to. I'll have to put my head in the way to do it. Like this. I'm going to take it off. The reason I can do this is because the background's nice and dry. And you can't do it for very long. See, it did lift a little bit where the paint was wet. So now I want really, really white on my pointy brush. No, not so much beige. For my highlight part of my rope. Bring some extra rope down. And make it tassel-y. Loop you wrapped around there a few times. It'll look better when I get the dark detail in. Now I'm going to go get some black and brown, make a dark color. I'm going to get as pointy as I can on here. White, a little bit of highlight on my rope. These tassels will show out the bottom. Okay, I like that. Looks like a homemade swing. Okay, so now I have my fall tree, and this tree is the closest to us. So first thing I'm going to do is go in and put my branches all back in nicely, make sure that the ones that are in the front are supposed to be, and that they're highlighted properly. So now I'm going to do my fall leaves. I have some dark crimson, light crimson, brown, and yellow ochre. And on another palette I have some yellow and magenta just to add to these colors. I'm using a 3/4 inch filbert acrylic brush. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit of brown. Move my brush up really well. A little bit of ochre in it. And this is the kind of stroke I'm making for the leaves. I'll turn the brush and dab it. So the brush is nice and loaded, flat. I don't want too many up here because I don't want to cover up the sky. I'm just going to go over spots that are already covered. I'm into my ochre now. Adding a little yellow to that ochre. I'm going to switch colors, so I'm going to wipe my brush off really well. Now I'm going to go into the dark crimson. I'm going to add a little crimson to this to keep that color going as well there. Or a little ochre. So now I'm going to put the leaves that have fallen. So I'm going to start off with some ochre. I'm just going to do this. Okay, got some white and some phthalo blue. I'm going to put a little bit of snow on some of these leaves. Just a transition. Use a little blue for the shadow color of the snow. And I'm just gonna... I forgot to turn on the video camera, but I decided since the tree was a little wider that I'd spread the leaves out a little bit farther. Now I'm just going to add the snow on these ones. So finally we have our finished painting. I hope you like this one. Don't forget to subscribe and like and let me know. And I'll post another one soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.